This meeting has been posted. Attendance roll call.
Mrs. Blair?
Here.
Mrs. Boyer?
Here.
Mr. Hyde?
Here.
Rader?
Here.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Petkowski?
Present.
And Mr. Buckmaster are here. 7 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We need to...
3.
All right, we've done a closed session. I need approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of the agenda, or anything in the agenda needs any separate? All those in favor of the agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? The agenda is approved. Moving on, at this time, Mill Valley students are going to sing the national anthem. Great job, guys and ladies. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda. Could I have a motion to consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Anything in consent agenda that has questions or needs separate consideration? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to item 5, student representation. Do we have any this evening? All right. Moving on to item 6, public forum. This is your opportunity to bring anything to the school board that needs to have our attention brought forward. Going once, twice. Item 7, superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Okay, we have a number of items here, but first and foremost, Mill Valley is here to present to the board their annual report. So, hello, Robin and Laura.
Mill Valley increased from last year. Mill Valley had a We're at 54.2% in advanced and proficient in language conventions. And that same cohort of students in 4th grade in the year 17-18 were at 73.6% advanced or proficient. This is absolutely amazing growth. Shifting gears to Mill Valley, let's take a look at their data in reference to the graph up above. The 3rd graders were at 65.3% advanced proficient in 16-17 in language conventions, and that same cohort of students were 78.8%. Last year, this was an area of focus for both schools. Both Mill Valley and Muskego Elementary engaged in weekly collaborations, professional development days, and vertical alignment. We grew as learners and took a deeper look at what proficiency entailed when writing a text-dependent analysis. We began planting the seeds of knowledge in our younger students prior to taking the 3rd grade test. A lot of work goes into teaching little minds. I would just like to recognize the amazing teaching staff that we have at Mill Valley. Please join me in giving them a round of applause for all their hard work and efforts.
So new this year, we began to take a closer look at how we function together as a professional learning community. Although we have seen a lot of success from both schools moving into the school year, we realize we have a lot of work to do on closing the achievement gap. So we have partnered with a consultant from CISA and have began taking steps forward towards a whole school approach for professional learning communities. So in this picture is our Eye on the Goal team members, and it consists of one person from every grade level, a special ed representative, school psych, teaching and learning coaches, and building admin. Mill Valley is a PBIS school, and our guiding words are be respectful, be responsible, and be kind. To teach students the behavior expectations, staff distributes paw prints to highlight positive behavior throughout the various locations in our building, such as the hallways, recess, classroom, etc. Paw prints are collected in one large bucket to showcase all the great decisions students are making on a daily basis. Students work in their den colors to accumulate as many paw prints as possible and are recognized weekly for their choices. We kicked off the school year by dividing into specific den colors. So last year, both schools did wolf packs, and to start new this year, we decided to add wolf dens. So each den has roughly 6 staff members and 75 students who get together on a monthly basis to engage in theme-based activities. From there, students are divided into more intimate groups for wolf packs. So this month, for example, we are doing Joy January, and we are teaching how to spread joy throughout the Mill Valley community and beyond. And if you were to walk the halls of the school, you would see that students have a note card on their locker on how they are setting goals for them to spread joy. So it could be smiling or holding the door open or anything that would constitute for them to do that. So dens and packs are intended to build relationships and strengthen our school community. We find value in grouping students across grade levels to promote friendships that are lasting. So new this year, we focused on the whole child and began implementing PAW time, so positive attitude wolf time. And through the efforts of our school psych, Jen Losey, can you raise your hand? Deanna Welsh, our social worker, and Colin Smith, our Phi-Ed teacher, they have teamed up to deliver weekly lessons to 3rd and 4th grade classrooms that focus on the following. So zones of regulation, bully awareness and prevention, random acts of kindness, executive functioning, nutrition and physical activity, technology and internet safety, human growth and development. And one additional thing is Jen Losey and Deanna Welsh do kindergarten friendship lessons to tag team off that. So if you're anything like Rob and I, visual learners, we have compiled everything we just talked about into a video that we would like to share with you. So sit back and enjoy. Would you mind turning up just a little bit? Thanks.
We might be able to do it from your computer as well.
What was that?
Oh, it's all the way up.
Yeah, it's all the way up. I think it was 80.
Thank you. This new school year, we began with the focus on how to build a brand new Mill Valley. And we began with the focus on culture, prioritizing students and having them be at the forefront of every decision that we make. Here at Mill Valley, we focus on the whole child. We truly care about each and every student that enters our door.
The thing that makes Mill Valley an exceptional place to be is definitely the students and the student culture and community that we're working on growing. We still have continued the strong relationship with the Muskego Food Pantry. We recently collected numerous hats and mittens and gloves for our community, as well as our community gardens. And we also work really hard within each classroom in wolf packs and dens, helping kids to build relationships across grade level, and working on how to become problem solvers. Our community is really a group of intellectual kids who can coach and teach one another.
Wolf dens and wolf packs are an opportunity for students and staff to interact at all school level. Each Wednesday is devoted to wolf den or wolf packs. During that time, we engage in activities that promote teamwork and friendship that immediately builds a greater sense of the community here at Mill Valley.
I really enjoy this time because it has allowed me to get to know more students and staff outside of my own classroom.
As a fourth grader, I believe this is an important time to show younger students how to be respectful, responsible, and kind through organized activities and conversations.
Golden Mornings are an exciting time of the month.
As a school, we review behavior data that is organized by class and grade level. We celebrate all the good that has happened along with setting goals on how we can improve. It's motivating to want to do better and help others to do better too. Earning a Golden Award reminds us that our hard work pays off. Everyone loves gold. Golden Awards are handed out for Phi Ed, art, music, bus, library, hallway, cleanliness, attendance, and assembly behavior.
As a new Mill Valley parent, I have been very appreciative of the conscientious efforts that have been made by both the staff and administration to ensure a seamless transition for both students and parents. Combining schools meant combining traditions, and my children have loved continuing the great tradition of wolf packs. As a PTO member, we worked hard to ensure we had a mix of some of the favorite events from both schools, as well as trying some new events such as the color run. When I asked my kids what they enjoyed most about the new school, they said everything, especially the air conditioning.
Team meets once a week for third and fourth grade classrooms.
This time has helped students develop a greater awareness for the social-emotion learning. We have discussions about stress, bully awareness, and strategies to help us problem solve.
Offerings are given to students who go above expectations.
At Mill Valley, we want to be respectful, responsible, and kind. So we did something right, do it again, even if no one is watching. Helping others and setting a good example is the right thing to do. Parklands are teaching us how to live and act in life.
Being new to the profession last year, it was really important to me to find a school where I felt like I belonged.
I was looking for a school that valued their staff, but most importantly had the same vision for every student to succeed. It was evident to me that MV and ME both valued one another, but also worked every single day to ensure every student was learning and growing.
Thinking students!
Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Thinking students! Changing the world! 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 Changing your world!
And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of the board members have a question or comment for Robin or Laura?
I have one question. How do you determine which mascot to use when merging the two schools? I'm just curious.
It was a big process that we started, oh my goodness, probably a year before we moved. And so we kind of talked about, you know, obviously with Muskego closing to honor that tradition, because in the end, the name Mill Valley was the name that was chosen, and seeing the staff was really coming from mostly Muskego joining into Mill Valley, it was chosen to be the Wolf, so, yeah.
It worked out really well with the packs
Yeah,
and the
it did.
dens.
Thank you.
I love how you're focusing on all the friendships and the respect, and love it.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Because academic stuff moves to start early, and I hope that it just builds such a good foundation for these kids at this age. I love it. Thank you.
How do you, what were the three, or two or three reactions, top reactions to the students when they came back to the new school?
It's definitely bigger than what all the kids were used to, for sure. But through a lot of the collaboration, and last spring we did those mixers for kids and their families to come through, and open house. We had a couple nights for those. So just hit the ground running and really just embraced a lot of traditions that the kids were used to. Saw a lot of familiar faces, because we did have staff from Country Meadows as well, which helped those kiddos, our specialist teachers. So really, it was just kind of make sure everyone felt welcomed. And we did have a dance party the first week of school, all school dance parties. So they got to see all the faces and just really build that sense of community right away. So, yeah.
Good. How about the cafeteria? Has that been a big hit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious, because I think before it was in the passageway or the hallway,
Yes.
and now they can actually sit on tables, right?
Right, right. And with that came a lot of new learning. So, I mean, as I talked about having the new Mill Valley begin, it really needed to from the ground up, because lunch was different, how you came and went from lunch, how we went to recess. And I mean, really for, what was it, a year or two? I mean, we worked around a chain link fence. So the fact that we now had an actual full playground to go on was pretty great, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did get feedback from the parents about the busing and the drop-off, and they are very happy with it. So whatever you guys concocted and created works.
Well,
So,
thanks.
Good. Thank you, thank you.
What's been the biggest challenge from going from, I mean, essentially you two were running two schools before that were smaller, and now you have one large one. What's the biggest challenge going from that, or is it easier actually than you were, because you don't have to run between buildings?
I know, right? In some ways, it almost does seem easier. You know, I think for us, really, I mean, Laura spent a lot of time working on the schedule. We have 5 lunches, and so really to get the kids in and out, and we really prioritize our aides and working with students. That was another big part of our success, so that when students are doing academics, there's someone else that's eating lunch. While someone else is eating lunch, there's someone that is outside at recess. And so think of the manpower and how that has to just rotate. And so I think for us, that was kind of like a big aha of like, how is this all going to flow? And so we had to get a little creative with that, but in the end, I think, you know, once people got their routines down and the kids knew where to go, it turned out. But yeah, that was a surprise for us. So.
You guys did a great job starting a new school up. You know, I know Mill Valley was here before, but like you said, this is a completely different animal than what it was. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The second item on the superintendent's report is a curriculum review update, and Courtney is here to provide that.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so the first update is having to do with our math review that's taking place right now. So we have brought together our math steering committee a number of times. The last time that team was together was in December. And it's a large team representative of kindergarten all the way through 12th grade high school teachers, about 40 teachers, 45 staff members, coaches, administrators involved in that team. So our last meeting was pretty neat, the process that was facilitated, analyzing data. So those teams of teachers were looking at data and analyzing trends over 5 years, and through that, you'll see in the agenda what was discovered. So we are increasing the percentage of students who scored in the advanced category. So that's looking at WSAS data, so our state assessments in grades 3 through 7. and then decreasing students in the below basic category. So that was a 3-year trend that held true. However, there's a small decrease that we're finding in proficiency each year from elementary to high school. So if you think about those bands of proficiency, we're moving students into that higher band, but then those students that are between proficient and basic, right at that lower cutoff of that band, are sliding back. So our next step in these trends that we're uncovering is to do a root analysis and figure out the question of why would that be taking place and what are our goals and our actions in order to address that. So then also in that study, we had noticed that our students with IEPs and those of low SES are also our students in some cases that are not proficient on those assessments. So for example, last year we had our 9th grade students with IEPs, 91% of them had a not ready indication on the Aspire assessment. So again, with our team coming back together, we will be taking that team through an activity to discuss more about why that would be and what our actions are. So then other celebrations that we had as we were looking through that last year at Lake Janoon, we saw that 5th grade had increases between 4th and 5th grade proficiency on the forward exam, and those were pretty significant increases. So we've had lots of additional conversation as to why that would be, what actions are contributing to those gains. So for example, we had overall proficiency from 77 to 91%. So when we see a really large jump like that, just being able to take what those practices are and have that shared and implemented throughout the system. So that is what we're doing as far as math goes. There are some additional bullet points there that describe some of the other findings. We were also working with the Wisconsin Evaluation Collaborative out of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and they were coming in and they met with teams of teachers, and they had questions and interviews that they facilitated with each level, and then our coaches as well, and then they put together findings and came back to the team and had shared that out. So we were also partnering with them, just looking at, for example, with our accelerated math pathways, are we creating gaps? Do we see proficiency with those students? So they had some specific questions that they were taking a look at there. So then we also have our elective areas under review this year. So they will be coming together vertically in February, and then we will have an update to provide in spring. And then finally, we're evaluating ways to increase STEAM opportunities for students. So right now there's a process underway, completing an application for TEALS. And so Christy Brooks included the brochure for more information if you wanted to take a look at that. But essentially TEALS is helping high schools build and grow computer science programs, and that is through a partnership between a classroom teacher and then technology or tech industry volunteers. So that tech volunteer comes in and there's training and a partnership, professional development, curriculum resources, creating pathways for students, and then really facilitating what that is. And so again, there's an application process, and we will see where the next steps are after that is submitted.
Thank you. Any questions for Courtney? So we'll keep you updated as we learn more and put kind of processes in place for the coming year. So thank you, Courtney. Next is the Lakeview Air Conditioning Project update, and that's for Jeremiah.
Yes, this is just a follow-up from our conversation we had in fall. This is just a follow-up to the conversation that we had in fall about the capital projects for this upcoming summer. So just as a reminder, each year we set aside funds for construction projects throughout the district. So this could be roofs, parking lots, painting, flooring, many of the big things that just don't get small repairs throughout the year. So the project we landed on this upcoming summer was air conditioning. So we've been working with an engineer to design the project, and so he's completed his design. We sent it out to bid last Friday, and we should have bids back in time to come back to the board on February 4th. And so it is a big project. I know we heard from one of our fourth grade friends last year about the project. It does involve removing a lot of ceilings, replacing every single classroom has like a cabinet heater that all has to come out. All of the controls in the rooms right now are pneumatic, so they're run off compressed air, and it'll upgrade it to digital technology, which will give us control of every single room rather than just zones. And then it'll be a chiller that'll be installed on grade. So a lot of work to be done. It'd actually take the entire summer to do the project. So hopefully we're targeting $750,000 for the project. And we have bid it so that we could pull some things out if we need to. So if it came back high, we could remove the gym from the project if we needed to, which isn't uncommon to have a non-air conditioned gym. So hopefully we can get it all, but I just want to let you guys know that we'll be coming back in a few weeks. So, I also brought the prints. Anybody wants to comb through the as-builts?
Thanks, Jeremiah. Any questions for Jeremiah? All right, the next item is a request for board member volunteers for the diploma distribution for the graduation on Saturday, June 15th at 1:30. And I know that Rick can update the board as far as some requests.
We've got 2 requests, one coming from myself. As you know, I won't be on the board come graduation, but I'm hosting a foreign exchange student this year that's a senior, and I'd like to be able to present her diploma to her if possible. So if you would allow me to present, I would be honored. And the other request comes from former board member Jim Schaefer, former board president, who has his youngest graduating and would like to know if he could present as well. I believe Eric's got a senior this year. Does anyone else have a senior this year? So if you, doing the math, assuming that you will grant the request of the 2 outsiders, myself and Jim, leaves 3, but one of you will be board president. And I would probably recommend that you wait till May to figure out who's going to fill that last spot, because the board president speaks at graduation as well. So. Is everyone okay with doing it that way? Or?
That sounds logical.
I'm fine with that.
All right. Either way, you'll have your 4, and
I would love to do it again.
go from there.
I loved it. I'm going to get better the first time.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then the last item is just the contributions to the profession, and I don't believe that there are any new ones from December, so. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Moving on to other reports, board president's report. Mine was going to be to request the graduation thing, but that's been taken care of. I'm reminding everyone that the board self-evaluation has been emailed to everyone. Please take time to fill that out and submit it, and hopefully if you can do it by end of February, so I can get all that information back, consolidate it, and then we can discuss about what our self-evaluation is saying in our survey. So please try to get those done. And I think that's about it. Moving on to other board member reports. Anyone have a report?
I just have one. So I've been kind of talking back and forth with Tim Gorecki for the pool, because they had the open pool activity this weekend. And because my concern that I kind of said to him was that I really kind of wanted the seniors to be free, because I feel like they donate so much to our school district, but yet they don't, actually participate in a lot of the stuff because they don't have kids in the program anymore. So I asked them for the numbers to just find out like how many people showed up and stuff like that. So on Saturday they had 7 adults and 12 kids, and on Sunday they had 8 adults and 28 kids. And then I asked, well, were any of those seniors? And he didn't know if there was or not. So I don't know if they are in the adults or the.
We had one senior. The first weekend we did have one senior.
Oh, you did?
We
so I don't think it's a
negotiated the
huge amount of. Did you go?
I just worked at the first time just to see how it went.
I think he was calling you.
I didn't do that.
Okay. So I don't know. I just was wanting to just put it out there. I just kind of feel like something that we should sort of give back to them. And
We can put it on as a discussion item. Obviously, we can't.
Yeah. Right.
It's not on the agenda, but we can put it as a future discussion item, maybe in the budget or something like that. All right. Any other board member reports?
I'll just remind everybody, and I get in trouble with John Ashley if I didn't, that the education convention starts next Wednesday. So hopefully, if you get a chance to get down there, even for half a day, there's a lot of great stuff going on, and hopefully I'll see most of you down there.
Any others? All right, moving on to clerk's report. Mr. Buckmaster.
2 school board seats are on the ballot in the spring 2019 election. 2 candidates have declared their candidacy prior to 5 p.m. deadline on January 2nd, 2019. Candidates in ballot order are Cassandra Baus, who is a new candidate, and Brett Hyde, who is an incumbent. A February primary election will not be necessary. That ends the clerk's report.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, resolution action items. 9A, open enrollment seats for 2019 and 2020.
Motion to approve open enrollment seats for 2019-20 as follows. Grade 4 to K to 11, grade 1 to 9, grade 2 to 8, grade 3 to 2, grade 9 to 10, and grade 10 to 5.
Someone make that motion?
I'll motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion.
Yeah, so just on the motion, we are recommending 0 seats for 10th grade.
For 10th grade?
Yeah.
So we have to change that motion.
Yeah,
So could I get the person who made the motion to agree to it, to that change? Is that okay?
Yes.
And the second,
Yes.
you okay? All right. Any other updates on this, or pretty
No.
much standard? Do you guys, Tracy and Terry, do you have any questions on this? It's the first time you've gone through and what this process is.
He can
No,
walk
we
through
talked about it. No, it's fine.
Do you want him to walk through all of the, are you guys good?
I'm
Good?
but if
Everybody's good? All right. Okay, good.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to item 9B, gifts, grants, and bequests.
Motion to accept with thanks gifts as noted below. Paul Fiddler, Process Retail Group, New Berlin, Wisconsin, 220 boxes of 33 by 4 magnetic strips to be used for CTE, art, and Fab Lab, student projects, and teacher organization.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to the discussion items. 10A, 2019-20 budget.
I just wanted to give the board a quick update about a new report that has been, that's due as part of our Essa requirements from the federal government. So this past year, the government, as part of Essa, has required us to now code all purchases for our schools independently, as well as charge salaries and benefits of each of our staff members independently by building. And the point of this, from my understanding, is that they will, as of March 1st, report out how we are expending our funds by school. And this is going to happen nationwide. And so you're going to start to see a lot of information coming through the news, and it's likely that the per student allocation for cost will be on the school report card next year. So we will report out at the our annual report numbers in the summer, and those numbers will be used on the report cards for the following year. So we are in the process. We have done the report. We're waiting for DPI to verify across the state all of the information. And once they do that, as of March 1st, they will make those numbers public. We will, prior to that time in February, bring forward something to the board so you can see how our numbers have laid out. They have pulled in some exemptions, for instance, like transportation and food service, and those types of costs are grouped district-wide. But we do have to allocate, like I said, salaries, benefits, individual school costs, and some of the curricular things have to be separated out independently. So we will bring forward information to you in February so you see where each of our schools stand. But if you are going to the convention, there probably will be quite a few presentations on this topic. So I just wanted you to be aware that we are working on it, and you will see something next month.
So when we have, like, I think some of the specials float between buildings.
We do a % allocation.
Do we do that already? Is
We do that already,
Okay,
yes.
so it's not that much.
Nope, what we've always done is we've had all of our elementary staff in one kind of pot, middle school and high school, and we just had to allocate out the elementary by building, so it wasn't a ton of work for us to do.
Is there any part of this that is a lot more onerous than what you were doing? I mean, I guess these numbers were just plugged into the spreadsheet.
No, once you allocated by building, it was fine. It was just creating those initial spreadsheets. The thing that's going to be somewhat of a challenge is depending on the makeup of staff, veteran teachers versus non-veteran teachers, family insurance versus non-family insurance. You start to see some inequities by building depending on what people are choosing for benefits just because of the cost of those benefits. So we just have to be really aware of that and make sure that our message is really clear as to why some of those, if there are big inconsistencies, I don't believe that we'll see big inconsistencies, but I know across the state there has been a lot of concern about that happening. And so we'll just want to be sure we have a good communication message to our community.
Yeah, I think so. And you might want to start by not using the word inequity. All right. Any other questions on this? Hearing none, moving on to item 10B, district roofing replacement strategy.
So I just wanted to talk through a little bit. We have over 100 roof sections throughout the district, and right now we're in pretty good shape because most of Mill Valley is brand new, and this is a 25-year roof, and Muskego Lakes as well, brand new, 25-year roof. And Bay Lane is in pretty decent shape as well. So Lake Danoon has been something we've been chipping away with for the last 6 years, and there's a map, forgive my misspelling, the Lake Dune roof strategy. So that shows the remaining sections that need to be done. It's approximately $600,000 to $700,000, depending on how far we push out of remaining work to be done. So each year we have an engineer come through and they look at all of our roof sections. They create a punch list of repairs that need to be done and help me bid that out with contractors. And when they looked at the roofs, they said, we don't need to be in a hurry to change these last 3 roof sections if we can do a couple of things just to tie up some loose ends. So on the very bottom, there's some roof survey photos. And you'll see some of the edges are starting to pull away from the sidewalls. And so the strategy would be to come in and cut those out, potentially over spring break, re-seam them, and engineers say we can get another 5 to 7 years out of those roofs. So that's pretty big savings. I think in general, if we can get 30 years out of a roof or 25 out of a roof that was supposed to be for 15, that's a pretty big ROI. So this is a 15-year roof, and we're working on almost 20 years now on it. So we will be bidding out the repairs, and I'll be able to bring those back to you guys as outlined here in the agenda item. So hoping just to buy some time and to be able to tackle some things. This upcoming summer, we talked about air conditioning. The following summer, probably going to be a lot of parking lot work throughout the district, particularly at the high school.
Any questions? Hearing none, moving on to item 11, information follow-up. Anyone have any information requests or follow-up requests?
The only thing that I was wondering if this is something that we have ever looked at in our district, and I don't even know if we have, but, and I know that you kind of put a survey out there for the candidacies for the school board, maybe advertising that more, or, I don't know.
Get more people to run?
Yeah, or just know how the process is and stuff. Because when you do look at other districts, and I just looked at New Berlin, so I didn't go extensively, just the closest one. Theirs was pretty, pictures of the people, I mean, it was pretty involved. So I don't know if that's something that we as a board have to take on to monitor that website page.
What website are you referring to? I guess what do you mean by pictures?
They actually had it on their district website, the candidacies of their.
Oh, you mean the ones that were up?
Mm-hmm.
I think anything you can do might, can't hurt.
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with there's just not any controversy going on here. New Berlin's got controversy going on. When they don't have people running.
But maybe even just a district page.
6 people running in Greendale this year.
Yeah.
They got a primary, so I mean, it really depends on what's going on. But I agree. Anything you can do to
I mean, to be honest, I mean, we just ran and I didn't know anything. I didn't know the steps. I didn't really know. So kind of putting something together.
Well, and the state doesn't help it because the filing period is one of the most busy times.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but we can't change that. But, I mean, I can work with somebody to put a page together or something.
Having something go out. And
Yeah.
We can do that for sure.
If that's something that we want to.
Any other requests for information? Hearing none. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Oh, wait, never mind. I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Now, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:54.
That's crazy. On your school, fast.
No mess